Hello friends, welcome back to Liz's Reading Corner, or welcome if you're new here. I'm Liz and I like books, and this video is going to be my 25 books / book series that I would like to get finished in 2025. I am going to just be completely honest here. I am recording this on, it is like the 10th of February, and the start of the year has not gone to plan at all. And videos have not gone to plan at all. And I have read a couple of these already. I was honestly on the fence about whether to keep them in, and like the ones that I've read in this list, and or just changing them out so that way I have an extra 25. But I set these books before the start of the year, and so they were already on, like, they're already my goal books anyway, really. So I figured I'll just keep them in, but I'll let you know if I've read them or not, and I will put out some videos soon about the books that I have read. So I'll probably, for this list specifically, I'll probably be doing like a 6-monthly update, and then obviously the update at the end of the year as to how I've been in, like, the wrap up and that sort of thing. So all of that rambling aside, these are the 25 books and book series that I would like to get finished this year. It's like a mix of books and book series. Number 1 is Wake Up and Open Your Eyes by McLeod Chapman. This is a new release for this year. I think it's already out, and I really want to get my hands on it. I'm so excited to read this book. This is basically what I understand of it. It's more like a fictional political commentary on how the media and the news that we consume rots our brain and turns us into zombies. But basically this, I can't remember his name, this gentleman comes home, his family is like glued to the box, they're basically non-responsive, and he has been trying for a long time to get them to understand just how bad the media is, and how a lot of the stuff that we see on the news is either very targeted to make us fear things, or just plain bullshit. So I'll be reading this one very soon, hopefully. If I can't get it from the library, because it's not available in the library, I'm going to absolutely be buying this because it looks amazing. I've seen some reviews on it already, and from what I've heard, it is exactly the kind of story that I would enjoy, and it's had some really positive reviews. Number 2 is Witchcraft for Wayward Girls by Grady Hendrix. I have actually read this already, and I was very disappointed. This is slated as like a witchy horror story. It's set in the 70s. These underage girls are all sent to a home for wayward girls because they are all pregnant. They're all in different stages of pregnancy, and this home forces them to adopt their babies out to couples who would like them. There is some trigger warnings you should definitely check on this one. There is a group of girls, or a small group of girls, there's like 3 girls, who decide that they would like to try and stop all of this from happening, and they get into witchcraft. I'm not going to go into this story in great depth or like do a review here, because like I said, I've already read it, I already know how this goes, and I was incredibly disappointed. Definitely check the trigger warnings on this one though, because there are some themes that will trigger people. Like, some of the stories hit a bit close to home for me. So, I wasn't a pregnant teenager, but some of the situations that they had to go through hit a bit close to home. So definitely check your trigger warnings on that one. Number 3 is Beautiful Ugly by Alice Feeney, which I actually have from the library. I haven't read it yet. But I have enjoyed quite a few Alice Feeney books. So this one is about an author who is on the phone to his wife on his way home from work, and he's on the phone to her. She suddenly slams on the brakes. The line goes dead or silent, and when he finally finds her car, she is missing, and she stays missing. And on the back it says, "A year later, Grady is still overcome with grief and desperate to know what happened to Abby, his wife. He can't sleep and he can't write, so he travels to a tiny Scottish island to try and get his life back on track. There he sees the impossible, a woman who looks exactly like his missing wife." So it's another Scottish Isles mystery. There seems to be a lot of thriller / mystery books that are set on the Scottish Isles or Scottish Islands lately, or in the last year, so maybe we will actually get some really good ones instead of the questionable ones that we've had. Number 4 is A Language of Dragons by S.F. Williamson. Again, I have this from the library already. This is, I think it's book 1 in a series. I want to say it's book 1 in a series. I could be completely wrong. This is a new release this year. I've seen this a couple of times at the bookstore, and I was really, really tempted to just buy it because the cover is actually really, really pretty when you can see it and there's not like light shining on it. This is a high fantasy or fantasy, I can't remember which. Basically it is dragons, which we all know I absolutely adore because dragons, and it is set in 1923 London. Our main character wants to get an internship studying dragon languages, and she apparently inadvertently starts a civil war, and so her family is arrested and her entire world is collapsing around her. And I probably will actually be reading this very soon because I'm dying to read it. It's dragons. Number 5 is A Serial Killer's Guide to Marriage by Asia Mackay. This is, I think it's technically a thriller. It's about 2 serial killers, or 2, I don't know, they're not, I know they call them serial killers, but they seem more, it's from the blurb because I've only read the blurb. From the blurb it seems like they're more like assassin type people. From the blurb it seems like they're more like assassins. They kind of like do vigilante justice, and they have traded their vigilante justice for babies and family life. And it's kind of like how they are navigating, or how they're trying to navigate normal life, but normal life is not what they get to experience. It seems really interesting. I did get it from the library, but I didn't get a chance to read it yet, so I had to take it back because I have a lot of books here to read. And so I will be borrowing that again soon, because I made the mistake of trying to read it when I was in a massive reading slump, and it was just not the book for me at the time. So I wouldn't even call it a DNF. I only got like 2 pages in and I was like, no, this is not for me right now. And yeah, so I'll be borrowing it again soon. So in the interest of full disclosure, I did try to read it, but I haven't read it yet, so I will be reading it soon. Number 6 is The Daughter of Chaos by A.S. Webb. This is a fantasy book set in ancient Greece. Basically, the people are begging the gods to come and save them because I guess they're just not doing so great. And this girl, the daughter of a fisherman, finds a golden apple, and her entire world is changed. She ends up becoming like a hero, or she ends up befriending Heracles, a demigod. So this is kind of like a Greek mythology retelling from the looks of it. It looks really, really interesting, and I'm really excited to read it. It is slated for fans of Godkiller and the Priory Tree, the Priory of the Orange Tree. I can't believe I forgot that. It's like really popular right now. But anyway, yeah, so apparently it's really good for people who enjoyed those. I quite enjoyed the ending of Godkiller. I didn't read the Priory of the Orange Tree. I DNF'd it. So yeah, we'll see how that one goes. Book 7 is Clever Little Things by Helena Echlin. This is a mystery. Basically, the main character, what's her name? Charlotte. So the main character has a daughter, Stella? Yes, Stella. Stella's babysitter is killed, and Stella starts mirroring the mannerisms and like ways of speaking and everything of her babysitter. Before the babysitter is killed, Stella is like out there, can't be controlled, and once the babysitter dies, she becomes very docile and very calm, and she just does everything she's told. And so Stella's personality changes to that of the babysitter that died. Charlotte is pregnant with her second child, and so she is worried obviously about her daughter and also trying to navigate being pregnant. And Charlotte's husband just believes it's all in her head. So I don't know. It feels like ghost story-ish more than mystery, but apparently it's mystery, so I'll read this one soon, and I guess we'll find out together. My phone died, so we're finishing this on another day. So book number 8. We're up to book number 8, and that is The Blob by Maggie Su. This is about a Taiwanese descendant who is just gone through a really tough breakup, and she goes out with a co-worker to party, and she finds this blob in a basket, and somehow inadvertently turns it into her boyfriend. I'm about to pick this one up from the library, so I'm actually really excited to read this. I can't wait, honestly. Book number 9 is The Crash by Frieda McFadden. This is just, I love Frieda McFadden. I've read quite a few of her books now, and I've loved every single one of them. This is about a woman who is seemingly running from a really horrible situation. She is trying to get across country to get to her brother's house, and her car breaks down, or she crashes or something, and she never actually makes it. She's 8 months pregnant, and she has to somehow save herself and her unborn baby. Number 10, I think we're at, is The Devils by Joe Abercrombie. This is on a lot of people's lists. A lot of fantasy lovers are very excited for a new A lot of fantasy lovers are very excited for a new Joe Abercrombie book. This one follows I'm assuming a priest, who's called Brother on the synopsis, who is assigned to a new place, and it seems that a lot of murders happen in this new area that he's been sent to, and he has to try and figure out what it is that is causing these murders, it seems. I have started reading, I can't remember the series name, but like the first book is The Blade itself, and I really enjoyed that. I just never got around to finishing the series because it was really, really difficult to actually get the books from the library, because apparently everyone wants them. So I'd actually considered buying those books, and I'm actually considering just buying this as opposed to getting it from the library, because just the way that it seems, it's going to be a book that I'm really going to enjoy. It reminds me a lot of, or the synopsis reminds me a lot of, it's a movie with Anthony Hopkins. I think it's called The Priest. It's not quite the same thing, but it's like a similar sort of like, the devil is taking control or possession of people, and or demons are taking possession of people and they're dying and that sort of thing. So that's something that I've always loved. That's a sort of like trope that I've always enjoyed, like the possession and demons and devils and stuff. So I really look forward to reading this one. Book number 11 is Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwabb. This is I think, vampire thriller. There's not a lot actually on the synopsis, but it seems really interesting. It's basically 3 different timelines, so 3 different times in history, 3 different women that have been buried in the soil, and they all grow vampire teeth, I assume. It just says on there they all grow teeth. So that's pretty interesting. Like I said in my book series video, like the book series that I would like to read, I'm like really interested in reading Anne Rice again. So this is just another vampire series that hopefully will be better than Twilight. Book number 12 is Nowhere Burning by Catriona Ward. I love her books, absolutely adore everything that I've read from her, and I'm very excited that she's got a new book coming out this year, so I can't wait. This one is about 2 runaways. So they're hoping to join like this group of children who are just like living in I think it's the Rockies. According to the blurb, like no adults can actually get there, so it is literally a place that only children can get to, or teenagers can get to, and it is meant to be like a protective place for these runaways and these like children and people, all these children trying to hide, and not everything is as it seems. So in true Catriona Ward fashion, I'm sure it is going to have a pretty decent twist in there. So again, excited to read this. Like, it wouldn't be on this list if I wasn't excited to read this, to be honest. Number 13 is Temeriare series by Naomi Novik. I just adore this series. I am 3 books in, and I've got, I think, 4 books to go. I can't remember if there's 7 or 9 books in the series, but I am absolutely loving this. I kind of last year I wanted to just like burn through them, but I sort of like held myself back because I didn't want to like get through them too quickly and then for it to end, because I love it so much. But I now, after reading the Scholarman series, I just want to like burn through the rest of the series and see how this goes, because from what I've read of other series of hers, her endings are phenomenal. So I'm really excited to see where the Temeriare series goes and where it ends, and I will be really, really sad to finish this, quite honestly, but at the same time, I'm really excited. Number 14 is Bat Eater by Kylie Lee Baker. This I have actually read. I'm about to take this back to the library, but I have read this and loved it. Loved it. This is so good. If you enjoy horror, read this book. It was so good. Because I have read this, rather than spoil it, I'm just going to read the blurb. So it says, Cora Zhang is a crime scene cleaner, but the bloody messes don't bother her, not when she's already witnessed the most horrific thing possible, her sister being pushed in front of a train. It's literally right at the very, very start, like the first chapter of the book. The killer was never caught, and Cora is still haunted by his last words, Bat Eater. These days, nobody can reach Cora, not her aunt who wants her to prepare for the Hungry Ghost Festival, not her weird colleagues, and especially not the slack-jawed shadow lurking around her doorframe. After all, it can't be real, can it? After a series of unexplained killings in Chinatown, Cora believes that someone might be targeting East Asian women and something might be targeting Cora herself. Soon she will learn you can't just ignore hungry ghosts. I loved this. It was so good. Highly recommend it. At number 15, we have the Hannibal Lecter series by Thomas Harris. I've read the first 2 books in the series and I've got 2 more to go. I'm really excited to see just how close the movies, because like the first 2 movies were really, really close to the books, and I'm really excited to see how close the last 2 are. Next we have a book that is on a lot of people's lists, to be honest. It was very widely read last year and I really wanted to get to it last year and I didn't get a chance to, and that is The Will of the Many by James Islington. This is a chonker, like this is a heifer of a book. It seems really interesting. From what I understand, it's like a political fantasy book. It says it is about an orphan, apparently, who was involved in a tragic accident, and then they were accepted into one of the most prestigious schools in the area, and then they find out the truth and what really happens at the academy. It seems really interesting. Like I said, it's really chonky. I'm actually going to start reading this soon, I think, because I'm going to try and fit it into one of like my prompts, so like my weekly prompts for reading. Otherwise I'm just going to like sit down and read it really, really soon, because it is here and it is like calling me every time I pick up a new book. So this one will be in a vlog very soon. Next is the Old Kingdom series by Garth. The first book is Sabriel. That's the only one that I've read in this series so far, and so I think I've got 6. There's either 6 or 7 books in the series. I think it's 6. And this follows Sabriel, who was sent to a school in the New Kingdom by her father, and she's like basically grown up there, not really knowing a lot about what her father does, and she has inherited her father's ability to basically like talk to the dead and ferry the dead across or through the gates. I can't remember what they're called, but they have bells and it's really, really cool. And so her father goes missing and his bells turn up in her room and she has to go looking for him. So she has to cross over the border into the Old Kingdom and try and find out where he has gone and what is going on. And this is a YA, I think, series, and I absolutely adored it. It is so good. So if you have any children who are wanting to get into, or like, I say children, middle grade to YA who are wanting to get into fantasy, is a really good gateway series into fantasy. Number 18 is the Fallen Gods series by Hannah Kaner. This is Godkiller, Sunbringer, and the new book's coming out this year. What is it? Faithbreaker. I've read Godkiller and I want to read Sunbringer obviously before I read Faithbreaker, but I want to try and get through those 2 this year. This is about a kingdom who used to revere gods, like everything was about the gods. And then this king gets onto the throne, and he basically just convinces everyone to ignore the gods and stop believing in the gods. And the problem with the gods is, or with doing that, is that the gods rely on people to like pray to them and like believe in them for them to actually exist. And so there is a few gods who still have some power, and there is, I can't remember her name, but there is this girl who was living on a cliff, seaside village, living in a seaside village, and so her family is attacked, and their house is burnt, but she's saved by the god of the sea, and eventually has to pay that back, I think it is, from memory. I could be completely wrong. I know she's saved by the god of the sea, and they work together to try and bring back the gods. 19 is How to Survive a Horror Movie by Craig DiLouie. This is exactly what it sounds like. It's kind of exactly what it sounds like. I did start reading this, but I DNF'd this because it was not the right time for it. It's about a horror movie author who has been like stuck in this cycle because of his contract of making these Freddy Krueger-esque or like Friday the 13th-esque slasher movies, and he is trying to break free of that and film different stories or a different sort of movie, and he is like obsessed with making like the ultimate horror movie, and he firmly believes that the point of horror movie is to scare people, not for enjoyment. And so he finds this camera that is cursed at an estate sale of like one of his favorite producers and directors, one of his favorite directors, and he quickly learns that it is considered cursed for a reason. Next is What I Mean by Samantha Soto Yambao, I think it's Yambao. This is about a woman who inherits a pawn shop from, I'm assuming, her father. She wakes on her first morning to find that the pawn shop has been ransacked and her father is missing, and then in walks this apparently charming young physicist, and he offers to help her find her father, and they go on this journey to find her father and some things that have been stolen from the pawn shop. This kind of fits into like the cozy translated fiction category, which I've been loving right now. But yeah, apparently it fits into that. I did try reading this and it was not the right time, so I'll be picking this up a little bit later. Number 21 is Diavola by Jennifer Marie Thorne. This follows a dysfunctional family as they go on holiday to this remote villa in like a really small remote village, and they soon learn about the history of the villa that they are staying in and find out that things may not be exactly as they seem. This is like a gothic horror story. It was very, very popular last year, and I am just finally, I guess, getting around to it now. 22 is These Deathless Shores by P.H. Lowe. This is basically a like Peter Pan retelling, or like Lost Boys retelling, I guess, and it is basically sort of like what happens after. So when you get to a certain age on the island, when you get to a certain age on the island, you have to, I think, leave. And from what I understand, you have to leave, and because you've been using Tinkerbell's like fairy dust or like the magical fairy dust, you don't really survive when you come back from the island unless you have this other substance, and it is difficult to get, I guess. The main character, or according to the blurb, the main character is obviously dependent on this drug that she can get from the mainland, or whatever you want to call it, and she comes up with this plan to try and oust Peter Pan from his throne and get her hands on all of the magical fairy dust so that she doesn't have to be dependent on like drug dealers anymore. Next is 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea by Jules Verne. I don't really know a lot, I'm not going to lie, about this story, but my son asked me to put this on the list. He got a miniature of the Nautilus, which is like the submarine from 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, from his grandpa for Christmas, and so now we have to read it, and he wants me to read, so I'm not reading I'm not going to let him read, or I'm not going to read through 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea with him until I've read it myself, because he's only 7 and I don't know anything about this story except that it is about a submarine that travels around the world. So yeah. So number 24, we're almost there, is Pay the Piper by George A. Romero. I have actually read this book. I loved it. It is I think it's meant to be horror thriller, set in the deep south of America, in the bayou, and it is about this remote community that is beholden to like a god of the sea, or the piper. And these people, or in this community, are all descendants of pirates, and apparently the pirates were slavers, and so now the community has to pay for what their ancestors did. Next is Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. I'm not sure how to pronounce her name. This is on this list purely because of all of the controversy surrounding like Powerless, and I wanted to see what this one was about, basically. I'll probably read Powerless as well, or very soon after this one, just to see how close they are. But yeah, I'm really, really curious as to what this is like. It's apparently a romance, or a, what is it, romantasy, but it doesn't, reading the back, it doesn't sound like a romantasy. So the blurb says, the Reds are commoners ruled by a silver elite in possession of godlike superpowers, and to 17-year-old Mare, a red girl from the poverty-stricken stilts, it seems like nothing will ever change. But Mare possesses a deadly talent of her own, one that threatens to destroy the balance of power. Fearful of her potential, the Silverside Mare, in plain view, declaring her a long-lost silver princess. Knowing that one false move will mean her death, Mare must use her new position to bring down the regime from the inside. Now, Mare has entered a game of betrayal and lies. So, interesting. I'm here for it. I seem to be really enjoying political thrillers. Not political thrillers, political fantasy. I seem to be really enjoying political fantasy, so we'll see how it goes. Those are my 25 books that I would like to read in 2025. This ended up being a lot longer than I anticipated. I actually wanted to like really quickly go through things, and I waffled too much, so I apologize. Thank you for being here right to the end if you're still here. If you are still here, are you doing 25 books in 2025? And if so, what are they? Or do you have any books that you're prioritizing in 2025? I would absolutely love to know. If you enjoy my videos, please like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.